We are following some breaking news this hour, a truly remarkable report out of the New York Times about the extent to which Israel was warned about Hamas's intentions to start a war ahead of the deadly October 7th attacks. Quote, Israeli officials obtained Hamas's battle plan for the October 7th terrorist attack more than a year before it happened, documents, emails, and interviews show. But Israeli military and intelligence officials dismissed the plan as aspirational, considering it too difficult for Hamas to carry out. The approximately 40-page document, which the Israeli authorities codenamed Jericho Wall, outlined point by point exactly the kind of devastating invasion that led to the deaths of about 1,200 people. According to one intelligence analyst in Israel, this was not merely a plan for an attack. Quote, it is a plan designed to start a war. Ben Rhodes served as Deputy National Security Advisor to President Barack Obama, and he joins me now. Ben, this just published before we went to air, so I just want to sort of set the table for folks. I mean, it's not just that there's a battle plan. It is the battle plan. It involves things like paragliders going over the fence. It involves machine guns and drones to take out security cameras. It involves initiating with a barrage of rockets, motorcycles going over the fence. I mean, it's literally the plan. And they had it inside the Israeli intelligence apparatus. What's your, as someone who works in the United States and security apparatus, what is your reaction to this?
I mean, it's absolutely astonishing, Chris, because to your point, sometimes you have warning that something might happen, but very rarely, if ever, do you have this level of specificity. I mean, before I was in the Obama administration, I worked for the vice chair of the 9/11 Commission on the 9/11 Commission. And this would be analogous to the U.S. government having had information that, you know, Al-Qaeda was planning to try to fly planes into these targets from these airports and had people in flight schools. I mean, this is a level of specificity that intelligence almost never gets. And that's what is so astonishing about this reporting. It wasn't just like a concern that Hamas might be up to something, they might be trying to plan something big. You usually get those types of warnings, you know, reflections in conversations or intercepted communications. This was the literal plan of what they actually ended up doing on October 7th within the Israeli system for a full year. That is something, that is an intelligence and policy failure that goes beyond anything that I can think of, frankly.
There's another additional aspect to this that in some ways is even more damning, which is that at least one analyst in a unit in the Israeli intelligence system basically watched or saw that there was a rehearsal about 6 weeks before the attack, and once again basically went to a superior and said, it looks like they're rehearsing the plan from that we have, Jericho Wall, and was again, again, according to the reporting we have in the New York Times, encrypted emails they've obtained, basically told, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so seeing the rehearsal, and the thing to bear in mind, Chris, and we don't know yet how far up, I mean, there are questions that remain. The questions that I would have are, was this plan briefed to Prime Minister Netanyahu or people who are government ministers? How high up did this go in the system? I'd be surprised, it'd be weird if something of this scale wasn't, but that'd be its own version of a failure. Right. The thing that people have to bear in mind here is that not only was there not an action taken to disrupt this, but in fact, on October 7th, what had happened is the IDF that would normally be at that border had been redirected up to the West Bank. So actually the border wasn't even at the normal status quo of security, it was less. You would think that if you had this kind of planning and you were seeing this kind of activity by Hamas, we have reporting of additional warnings from Egypt and other places about this potentially. So you would think that you would be trying to do everything you could to fortify that border and at least hedge against the fact that this plan might go forward, if not try to actively disrupt it. None of that happened.